pi, the ratio of the circumference of a circle to its diameter. And this is just the beginning. It keeps on going forever without ever repeating, which means that contained within this string of decimals is every single other number. Your birth date, combination to your locker, your social security number, it's all in there somewhere. And if you convert these decimals into letters, you would have every word that ever existed in every possible combination. The first syllable you spoke as a baby, the name of your latest crush, your entire life story from beginning to end, everything we ever say or do, all of the world's infinite possibilities rest within this one simple circle. Now, what you do with that information, what it's good for, well, that would be up to you.
Hi, welcome to Life is Meaning, Life Beyond the Secret. Because we're going to start moving beyond these teachers and start applying science and a subjective look at history to see just exactly where humanity is in all of this. And it's really about taking a step back so that you can see where you are in the picture. I learned this about Fibonacci sequences, and they're forever. They're infinite. They just keep going and going and going. Just like numbers, they just keep on trucking to infinity and beyond. You know, God is pi. In the universal language, God is pi. 3 and forever to infinity and beyond. You know, and you can change those numbers into letters, which we've done, and created these languages. And everything that ever was or ever will be, every word, every action is there. It's in pi. And I just love the way Finch explains that in Persons of Interest. So yes, I use that clip a lot when I want to get that point across, because he's just so eloquent. He's just wonderful. Might check that TV series out. It's really great and some great messages in there. But you learn, you know, that you preserve the old ways. You read Dr. Murphy, you read Emmett, you read Neville, you read the ones that resonate with you. You read The Secret, you know, you read Esther Hicks, you know, watch these YouTube videos or whatever. And then you have to take what you know, because this is a progression and you're part of that progression. So then you take what you know and now apply science to it, you know, step back and look at it. And there's, this is something that scientists are starting to really snap to. And the beautiful thing is they get this from the geologists who do what? Study the rocks and the dirt. They study the crystals. This is what they do, and it's just wonderful. It's the geologist that stands back and looks at something because it's so big. You can't see it when you're up close. But when you step back, then you begin to see the layers in the rocks and in the dirt. And something that you once thought was a mountain begins to take the shape of the bottom of a petrified tree. You know, and this is how we go back and look at something that we start to understand that these big giants and, you know, monsters and stuff really did exist. That there was an entire civilization going on, you know, before the flood. And then the flood happened. And we began again. And we got scattered in that. And there's, you know, some people over here and some people over there. And, you know, we just go do our thing. And that's what we've been documenting ever since. which is, you took what was old, what was left, and you built upon it. You took the rocks from it. I mean, Shoemaker, the great scientist, discovered this. That pieces that would have been, from something, some meteorite that had happened, some rock would have been there. He was looking for it at the crater that he thought was a crater, and then he was like, oh, it's not here. This is just not working for me. And he goes into town and he realizes the buildings are made out of it. And he gets so excited. He's also the one that determined that, some great flood happened because that's how the Badlands got made, you know. And of course, everything else is speculation on how that happened. But the rock formations do show you that some great tsunami, some great volcano eruptions that shook the earth in such magnitude that the water between, the sand and the rocks and everything else, that those volcanoes were shaking and rocking and rolling, made this huge wave that went from the east to the west in America. And there's this big long layer, 6 feet deep, that runs across the landscape. And it's just fascinating. Is that something tore the top of the Appalachians off, and they're rounded, and then proceeded across the continent all the way to the Grand Canyon. And it's just fascinating. God is infinite, and this is how you think about those things, when you want to think about the aspect of infinite, because it's infinite. It used to be easy to go outside and look up at the sky and think about that, but now our lights dim that, so you can pull up pictures and think of the infinite. You can go out and sit in the grass and think how infinite it is. You couldn't count all the blades of grass in your lawn or in the park. You couldn't count all the grains of sand on the beach. You couldn't count all the drops of water that make the ocean. It's infinite. It's just infinite. And this is God. God is infinite. You can say God is like the sand grains on this beach. Infinite. It's just infinite. And when you do these things, you're making your bucket bigger. You can only fill up the bucket as big as the bucket you have, because God is infinite. There are no limits. Okay? All things are possible. So, a lot of people think there are no limits. I can fly in the air. No, there are no limits to the prosperity and abundance and the wonders and fun and love that you can have. Love is infinite. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. You love your dog. You love him to bits. There's no end to your love for that dog. Even if he kills a cat, you're not going to stop loving him. It's the same thing. It is the same thing. Okay? But dogs don't think. People do. And this is what trips people up. You limited them and said they could hurt others. That people could hurt others. The human imagination has been telling that story forever. Okay? Forever.
Forever. Forever. Forever. Forever.
So it's really great to tie infinite into your mind, because it's making that bucket bigger and bigger and bigger, and that gets filled with prosperity and abundance, beauty, and love. Love, love, love. And God is love, and His love is never ending and it's boundless. It's infinite. And I think we all know that deep down inside. We just have a hard time believing that we have access to that. Well, there's only one God, there's only one life, so going back to the aspects of God, there's only one. There's only one God, there's only one life, and it's infinite. God is infinite. God, life is infinite. I'm in the story of life, so I am infinite. It is magnificent. So I hope this helps. It really is great to make your bucket really big because it just gets filled with this wonderful, lovely stuff. Well, I hope this helps. Blessings to you, and thank you. Thank you for being you.
Because it was waiting. And because I was so scared of the doctor.
Why?
Because I've seen him. He's like fire and ice and rage. He's like the night and the storm and the heart of the sun.
Stop it.
He's ancient and forever. He burns at the center of time and he can see the turn of the universe.
Stop it! I said stop it.
And he's wonderful.
She really gets me high.